Good evening, Krishna and College. Welcome to episode High Five. The sun is out, and it is a beautiful evening for me here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And we are calling Rishi Suresh, who's coming to us live from PA. Are you at home right now, Rishi?
I am at home right now.
All right, perfect. So, Rishi here has been a close friend for it feels like ages now, but probably like 10 years. He
Yeah.
has been involved in healthcare since have known him. He's always been passionate about giving back to the patient. And he has been able to serve at the intersection of medicine and engineering during his time at the University of Pennsylvania and take on meaningful research, um, community initiatives, and club leadership positions that have propelled him to some really amazing achievements. So, Rishi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to hear from you today. I can't wait to hear some of those nice insights that you have. So let's start off with a quick introduction. Tell the audience about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So like Akshay just said, I'm Rishi. Currently a rising senior at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm studying bioengineering, and I'm also pursuing an accelerated master's in bioengineering. And yeah, I am really interested in medicine. Currently in the process of applying to medical schools. And yeah, and like Akshay said, most of my passions are at the intersection of bioengineering and medicine, looking at new cell therapies, new gene therapies, and that's where a lot of my research has been. And well, beyond the lab, I really want to be able to see these therapies get translated into the clinic. So that's why I'm sort of pursuing this path of becoming a physician. And yeah, I've known Akshay for a long time, also from the Philly suburbs. And I have a younger brother who's in eighth grade, and yeah, I'm pretty excited for senior year, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Senior year is coming up for you, and with those applications to med school approaching, I'm sure that you're going back to some of those earlier application stages that you've had applying to Penn as well. So, how has that whirlwind of emotion been like, just getting back into the application process?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. It's honestly crazy that it it feels like I'm applying to schools again, like super quickly. Like I was just working on, my supplementals and super excited to getting into Penn, and the last 3 years have just went by like that. And then here I am looking forward to the next 4 years after medical school. But I feel like, uh I think the medical school process is definitely, as you'd expect, more tedious than applying to undergrad, but it's still the same principle where you kind of have like this common app, you're putting in your activities, you're putting in your personal statement, you're putting in all this other information about you, and then each school has their own supplementals, which they call secondaries, but they're like less nice here. They have like way more supplementals. Like about like 5 or 6 essays per school on average, which can get really tedious, and you also have like a pretty short window during the summer to apply. So, but I think the skills that I got back in senior year, like getting my secondaries or my supplemental essays back in high school, done quickly and getting them revised and sort of like staying on task, those same skills are going to apply this summer when I work on these secondaries. But yeah, again, it's the same sort of idea of like making sure that you're on task, you're getting your stuff in by deadlines and just keeping yourself in check.
Yeah, for sure. And you, throughout your experiences, have clearly developed those skills, and we're definitely going to get into that soon. So, I guess going back to your time in high school, did you always know that you wanted to go pre-med at the time of your application? Because you're at Penn Engineering and you've also done some work within Wharton as well. So why did you choose to go down that path instead of a pure pre-med path?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, when I was applying to medical schools, I didn't I knew I wanted to research for sure. I think my passion for medicine really came from my research experiences. So in high school, I had like a couple of research experiences. I was able to work on some myopia research at like this optometry institution for a couple years during COVID. My high school had a program where I was able to work at this biotech center and do some research on like drug development, transdermal patches, and all that, and excited me about mostly like patient translations. Like what really drove me through research was patient translation, seeing the
Yeah.
impact of the work that I'm doing. Um, but I was so like focused in on that research component, I never really thought about like being like a full-time physician in the future. And so when I applied, I was like, I definitely want to do a PhD, but I'm also considering MD PhD. So that's where I was sort of at. It was either PhD or MD PhD, and I didn't really know what to do. And given the fact, if I knew I wanted to do pre-med, for a lot of people, bioengineering might be kind of scary. I don't think a lot of people don't go into bioengineering knowing that they're going to be pre-med. There's like a very select few, and I really respect them, but that definitely wasn't me. Um, but yeah, I did bioengineering because it would give me so many opportunities in the future. Like if I didn't want to do medicine, then I have other opportunities through a PhD or company internships. That's why I picked bioengineering because of all the flexibility it would give me for the future. It didn't really set me on one specific track. And then as a bioengineering major, it's not purely because it's like a stepping off point to wherever I want to go in the future. I genuinely do have like a passion for bioengineering. In fact, if I could go back, I would pick bioengineering again. I don't think I would pick
That's
any other
awesome.
major. It's because like a lot of the BE curriculums, the bioengineering curriculums are at like they're all cutting edge. Like there's so many new developments, technologies coming out in the field, and obviously the same can be said about like neuroscience, biology, but bioengineering wasn't like really a major since like the last like 20 years, maybe like 25 years. The fact that it's such a new major too, and it has so many opportunities in the market just shows how cutting edge it is. So like, and the fact that I'm able to do research on like CAR Ts and drug delivery at Penn Medicine with like these faculty and PIs who've obviously contributed technologies like the COVID-19 vaccine. They also contributed to CAR T development. Like being able to work with those PIs on technologies like that I looked up to as a high schooler was definitely like an insane experience for me, and I still am really grateful that I'm able to do this type of research right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think for me, like doing engineering, even working with some warden clubs, all of this was I started all of this as a freshman and sophomore, where again I was like PhD or MD PhD. I don't know if I want to do like a straight MD. So this is all just ways for me to see what I like, what I don't like, see what other fields like consulting are like. I even talked to a lot of people at Warden about like what's VC, what is a lot of these other like finance jobs, and I really wanted to explore like whether I didn't want to stick with academia, stick with PhD and MD PhD. I wanted to see if a different field might be of interest to me. So
Mhm.
I think being able to connect with peers in Warden, being able to join these Warden clubs allowed me to really understand the industry and corporate side of things. And then I think it was really this year, maybe around like December, January, where I realized that I see myself mostly in the clinic, mostly being a physician in the future. While I do really like research, I still value research. For me, research, my passion for research stems from the ability to translate it into the clinic and see patient outcomes. I want to be able to see those patient outcomes and develop, for example, like clinical trials. I want to be closer on the edge of being able to impact patients. So like realizing where I wanted to be, what type of impact I wanted to make, I realized that the MD is probably the best path for me. So it was really a path of like not knowing what to do, thinking about engineering, thinking about finance and VC, and then eventually realizing through like shadowing opportunities and clinical opportunities that MD is where I want to be at in the future. So yeah, that's where I was at when I joined Penn, and that's where I'm at right now, ever since.
Yeah, I think that your diversity of passions is so interesting and about how it all really comes back to supporting the patient. I think that's something that I also personally really resonate with. Just that drive to find out what is your way to contribute to that major goal overall, which I think is great. So when did you first really feel that passion, and how did you effectively showcase that passion during the college application process? Because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with in that process.
For sure, yeah. In high school, I think that passion really came from my experiences at this optometry institution where I was
Right.
doing this biochemistry research. And so like what was pretty cool is like I was able to do research as a biochemistry professor. He even took me to some of his like biochem courses. So I was like a
Cool.
ninth grader, like sitting in a class with like optometry students, which felt pretty weird, but it was pretty cool. And then I was also
Yeah,
able
like
to
so how were you able to like I guess like connect with that opportunity? Because it sounds like a super cool like chance to do that.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. My friend's mom actually worked at that optometry institution. And so I had like a lot of conversations with her and and this is back in like eighth grade where honestly I knew I liked science. I think I was somewhere around biology, chemistry.
Yep.
I told
Yep.
her about it. And the funny thing is she brought me into her office and she gave me some like work to do about like schedules and other like admin stuff
Yep.
while I was kind of bored. And then, funnily enough, this biochem professor knocked on her door. And he saw me, and he was like, "Hey, come to my lab at like 12 today." And I'm not even kidding. He just like knocked on the door. He saw me, and he was like, "Come to my lab at 12 today. I'll take you up there." And it was like the first day he was showing me his like E. coli cultures, and he was doing this experiment about like antibiotic resistance with E. coli cells.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
so
Yeah.
I was there for one day, and after that, I was like, I think I want to be here for the summer, right? Like I was like,
That's cool.
he
Yeah.
showed me like this PCR experiment he was doing, and he
Yep.
was like
Yep.
drawing out stuff, and I was like, I think I want to be here this summer. So that summer, I reached out to him. And I was like, hey, can I like come in for a couple of days a week to do research with you? This seemed really cool, and so that's sort of how it started for me. It was
Yeah.
again, it's a funny story how it started, but
Yeah, but like it's so cool how you took the initiative, even being so young. Like I feel like from the 5 episodes of or I guess 4.5-ish episodes of Christian in College I've had so far, that seems to be a common thread among students who are really able to excel at the collegiate environment. They seem to have kind of that fire and that desire to take initiative to pursue missions or statements that they find passionate. And now they all pursue it in different ways, but I think that that's what really connects. And I'm sure that as you mentioned before, through meticulous preparation and planning, you were able to effectively showcase that within an application. So yeah, so I think that that is just amazing. And like going forward, like I guess like from that initial experience in the biochemistry lab, what were some of the key things that you take out of it that you maybe still use today?
yeah, that's a good question. I think it was in that lab where I first learned like how to use like a lab notebook and how to keep
Yep,
track of
it's
records. And
so important.
that
Yeah.
stuff is
Yeah.
is so important. Like right now, like doing the research I do, like without keeping track of stuff, I have like a really bad memory too. It's like without keeping track of that sort of stuff, you forget what you did like 2 weeks ago doing the same experiment. And then, but if you do keep track of that stuff and have a good record, that really saves your life. So I think that skill of being organized, being able to track your work and keeping yourself accountable. I have the tendency to just like I'm a pretty big procrastinator, so I just like push stuff down the line. I'm like, oh, I'll write this down, for next time. But like writing down. So what I did was, I he gave me the tools and things he had in his lab and like potential project ideas. So and he showed me this notebook and how he organized his experiments, doing the math, setting up the variables and all that stuff. And he also showed me like all the work he puts into like preliminary information, doing like literature reviews and actually like printing stuff out and putting it onto his lab notebook
So
and like
important.
how helpful that is and like when you're midway through an assay or when you're like writing the paper and you're like, oh, like what was the reagent I used for that experiment? So I think that is like a really valuable tool and it's not only helped me in lab, but like generally too. Like if I'm like when it comes to time management, like
Yep.
keeping track of those small assignments, those small meetings, like that moment when you hear about it, like that's really important. So I think that I think the idea of a lab notebook takes you to a lot of places. It's funny, but I think that organization and being able to keep track of my work were definitely two skills that helped me in lab and also in other areas of academics too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that that carried over and currently is carrying over to your college applications to a lot of prestigious and competitive programs. So I guess like going back to that feeling, like now using all the strategies that you mentioned, you were successfully able to get into the University of Pennsylvania along with plenty of other like respectable, prestigious institutions. What did that first feel like, and what has most surprised you about the Ivy League atmosphere?
Yeah, I think I'll be pretty honest here. So when I was going through the application process, I think I was I guess I could say I had like tunnel vision in a way. Like it's like I had one goal, and during that time between like May to I ended up doing ED to Penn, so like it was all over by December. But that time between May and December, like I had one goal in mind, and a lot of things I did were just around that one goal. And I mean this was after I finished like throughout high school, things I did were purely for my passion, for my interest. But when it came to putting the application together, I had one goal and that was honestly to go to Penn. And it, I mean, obviously the fact that it's close by and they have a really good bioengineering program. And I was also able to do research there for a summer. Like all those factors really went into making me believe that like Penn is where I want to be. And so like I think during that time, that was my like one sort of vision. And so a lot of the can you come back to the question? What was the main part of the question again? I think I lost track there.
Sure. Totally fine. Like I guess it was just um like using the skills that you gained, like you were able
Right.
to like successfully apply to Penn. So what did it feel like when you initially got that acceptance? And then what more surprised you once you actually went into the atmosphere?
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that. I got so
Dude, totally fine.
yeah,
Like,
but
that was a great insight, yeah.
right. So when I was going through the process, I was so focused on that when the result did come out, like it felt like for a couple of days, it felt like I accomplished what I wanted to do for so long, and it was obviously a really good feeling, and the fact that I was able to get over the process so quickly and just be able to enjoy my senior year was so nice. And so, but I think what one sort of big learning that I had, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this as well, is getting into a college is obviously just the first step. Like that's not
Yeah.
going to take you just because you get into a college doesn't mean you're guaranteed any success in the future. And or obviously like getting into good college like brings you up there, gives you the pedestal to get there, but you need to put in the work during college. You need to find the internships, the connections, and the academic opportunities. And so I think I was just so like the fact that I was so focused on it and it ended up coming true. I was just so focused on the fact that I got in that that kind of overwhelmed me. Like when I got into when I matriculated when I started my first semester, it hit me that this is going to be much harder than high school. Like I'm going to have to put in substantially more amount of effort and work into high school. And so some things that first hit me were definitely the difficulty of the course load. I think senior year I was kind of gliding through. I was like kind of
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
enjoying and so like taking
Relatable.
classes like differential calculus and like I took some AP classes, so like physics and math or physics and chemistry weren't too bad, but especially differential calculus and at Penn, what I felt was so annoying was like half the class already knew differential calculus. It's like they've taken some
Wow.
college level classes or they go to some crazy high schools where their high school teaches differential calculus. So
That's
for me, it
crazy.
was like I was really struggling in that class. And so I was spending like 20 hours a week for that one class during my first semester, on top of taking multiple other difficult classes as well. And so coming from like a high school, like a public high school in like a Philly suburb to studying here at Penn, where the curve is also it's not really helping me because people already know what's being taught. So there's also that. All those factors really put stuff into perspective for me. It's like getting into Penn is like you just like got onto the pedestal, but now you're gonna have to climb the ladder to go to wherever you want to go in the future.
Yep.
And so, like academically, that was like a pretty big shock to me. And I think something else people should consider. I wish I considered this more. I'm sure people have conversations about this as well with their families, but financials can make a pretty big difference as well. It's
Yep.
good to be driven. It's good to have passion. It's good to know where you want to go, but sometimes you have to be a little realistic. And depending on where you want to be in the future, certain schools can definitely provide like a better leverage to get there compared to other schools. Like if you're trying to do finance or business, like you want to go to a school that has a really good business program, no matter what the cost. And so you got to make those decisions regarding like your personal finances, the school you're going to, and what your potential goals might be in the future before you really commit to a program. And so, especially for people who are thinking about doing ED, like if you're anything like me, you're just focused on getting into the school. But if you're smarter, you will also think about the financial considerations that go behind it. So I'll that's like a tidbit of like honest
Yeah.
feedback that I'll give for people who are listening.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that feedback. I think that that's something that people often forget about, like in the excitement of the application process. So, thank you for that honest insight. It definitely makes sense. Now, going back to your point of like of getting into college is just the first step. You got to keep striving for your passions and keep going for more. You have actually done that by taking a global leap this summer. So, like, can you tell us about your opportunity in India this summer?
Yeah, for sure. It's actually really exciting. So Penn has this program called the Center for Advanced Studies in India, and so they have like multiple different internships through that organization. So they have like one program where they send students to Delhi to for like health policy related work. Another one that's more like I think they send them to Bangalore for like more commerce and economics related work. But they have another one where it's more medical and clinical oriented, where they sent us to this eye hospital in Tamil Nadu, South India. And essentially, we work at this hospital, contribute to their clinical workflows. But we're also able to work on clinical research projects. So there's a lot of different projects you can work on. Some of them can be involved in, I know students who like develop like an AI model for translation for certain patients, especially if they're, coming from an area with a really niche dialect. Some of them use AI for like diagnostic imaging. Some projects are more like clinical workflow oriented, so like reducing bottlenecks and wait times and things of that nature. But essentially, and another really cool part about this hospital we go to. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's an eye hospital, and it's called the Arvind Eye Care System Hospital. And what's really unique about their business model is that they have two main missions. The first one is to provide high volume care.
Mhm.
They have about I want to say close to 10 or maybe a little over 10, I can't remember, total hospitals in the state of Tamil Nadu. And across all of them, they see between 16,000 to 20,000 patients a day in like
Wow,
one day.
that's
So,
crazy. Yeah.
so I've like talked to past interns, and it's like what you see there, the high amount of like volume of patients you're going to see there is going to be like nothing that you've ever seen in the U.S. So that's something I'm really interested to see what model they use to even like allow for that to allow for those patients to even feel, like to get the necessary care they do because they have patients who need surgeries, who need consultations, so like various different types of needs throughout the day. And another thing is that they provide this care regardless of socioeconomic status. So it's like
Mhm.
patients can, regardless of what your financials are like or where your family is from, all patients get the same treatment. And even if they're not able to pay, the hospital covers it for them. So that sort of equity model is something I'm really interested in learning about as well. So yeah, I think being able to work in this sort of equitable system, being able to conduct research, whether it's clinical or workflow related, and also spending time in India, being able to see some family there for a weekend or two, it's going to be pretty exciting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really interesting, like the insights that you described that you're going to be able to gain from kind of stepping outside your somewhat comfortable pen ecosystem and really testing the waters in another environment. So we'll definitely have some recaps of that trip when you come back. 100%. I'm so excited for you, dude. So I guess let's talk about a part of college that people don't really talk about often. It's like the mental health and the time to decompress. So yeah, like yes, knowing you and being your friend for a while, I like know that you have a diverse set of passions, including like taekwondo and you do filmmaking and you're passionate about classical music. So which one of those, or like if you have something else, do you use to decompress and how does that help you at Penn?
Yeah, for sure. I think the ones you've mentioned, out of the ones you've mentioned, the ones that's really helped me passively has been classical music. I listen to it here and there, and I used to play the violin in high school, and so I really try to keep in touch with that. Just listening to it when I'm walking around, especially at night, it helps me fall asleep too. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that
Yeah,
I've
there's a
kept with
lot
me
of
since high
thinking going on
school.
in your head, Rishi. So like you need
Uh,
stuff
I don't know
like
about
stuff to go to
that.
sleep with all those good ideas, dude.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if that's all true, but I think coming to college and considering the friend groups that I've had, one of the biggest ones is definitely flag football,
Awesome.
and
Yeah.
we play flag football during the season. But we also have like weekly. It's not necessarily flag, but we try to do like 7-on-7, like two-hand touch games. Like it doesn't matter if it's December and it's like negative outside, or if it's
Yeah.
like May and it's 80 outside. Almost every week or every other week, I always try to get some football in. Like that's my way of getting my cardio, my exercise,
Yeah.
and I'm a pretty big football nerd myself. Pretty big Eagles fan,
Go
and
Birds.
go Birds, right? And so I think that's been my way of decompressing, especially with like a lot of my friends, like we're all engineering and like we all have to go through the same torture that is Penn engineering. And so the fact that we get to all meet up on Penn Park on like Fridays or Saturdays and just for 3 hours toss the pigskin around and for me, like I really like the sort of like play calling and play innovating part of football.
Yeah.
So like sometimes before games, I'll like come up with a little game script or come up with like little like innovative play calls. In fact, during our flag football season,
Yeah.
um, I injured my foot and I was like it was a
Oh,
Lisfranc Frank injury and I was basically in a boot for like 2 months and it was after the very first game of the season too, which sucked this year. And so I was like, there's no way I'm like, I give up that easily, right? So,
yeah.
I took up the role as like a coach and an offensive
Coach
coordinator.
Rishi.
That's what I'm saying. This is so exciting for me. Like I literally wrote up a play calling sheet,
Dude, you're locked
came
in.
up with little like code words. The quarterback and we had AirPods on during the game.
What?
And I would and I'd be like watch the safety or watch the mic or I would say like or target the guy with the blue cap on like he's not
Dude, that's
if he's
insane.
if he's one-on-one with my guy there's a really like tall receiver on our team like make sure you hit him on the fade route and stuff like that
Yep.
and especially on defense I'd be like oh move the linebacker to the left we need to get the
Dude,
guy
you're
with the
giving
blue
my
shirt on.
friends and I thoughts for like thoughts for next IM season. That sounds like a ball.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you
like
man
we played
it's
basketball though, so
gotcha.
yeah, I don't know how well the AirPods would work, but but if you do IM football next year, then we're gonna get the earpods in and
I might even share you my little playbook I got.
yeah, you got to keep that
uh
confidential. We don't know who's gonna steal it on here, so
That's true. That's true. No, I think I'll keep that to myself. But essentially, football has been my with
yeah.
watching games too, especially during the
Yep.
NFL season. My friends they all live in a apartment. I'm in RA, and RA being an RA is nice, but I live super far away from my friends, so I walk
Mhm.
like 10 blocks down to my
Oh
friend's room to
wow.
watch like Sunday night football games. And
Yep.
so that's I think for me like outside of school, my friends and we were all like football nerds, so that's all we do.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I think I tried doing Taekwondo in college. I joined the club for like the first month or two, and it just was really hard to fit in my schedule. It was like
Yeah.
6 hour commitment on days and evenings that I couldn't make
Mhm.
it. But throughout high school, I mean, actually, I think I've talked to you a lot about
Yep.
this, but I did Taekwondo like every day, and it was just like my go-to activity and way to decompress. So, but yeah, right now I guess I'm in my football era right now.
Yeah, like dude, like you're always like tackling challenges and like kicking down your barriers. So, yeah, so dude, like that just sounds awesome, and I think that's like really relatable to a lot of people in the college atmosphere. I think something that we speaking for college students find helpful is to just find that one thing that really helps you just chill out. And oftentimes that does come with a good friend group, just like what Rishi was saying. And that can be during college, it's usually the people that are at your school, but that can also come in the form of staying in touch with your friends. Like just like me and Rishi try to stay in touch like during the summer, when you're away at internships, which can be a new environment. So it's always really helpful for, I believe, me and maybe Rishi too, to like really just like stay in touch with their roots as well and come back to that home environment. So that's great. Well, we are approaching the end of our time, I believe. I believe that's about half an hour. You can check me on the timestamp. So, Rishi, where can like listeners connect with you? Like if they have any further questions?
Yeah, for sure. I think you can feel free to connect with me through email. Like I can probably like you can leave my email in the description maybe. I can put them
Yeah,
in
sure,
the
sure,
description
sure.
of the
And like,
video.
yeah, like LinkedIn too. I think LinkedIn would be good,
LinkedIn.
probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can leave the LinkedIn links in my email in the description. And yeah, I think that would be more helpful than me verbally saying it and then having to type it out.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, that makes sense too. Dude, thank you so much, Rishi. And that was episode 5 of Christian and College. And Rishi, if you had one last insight or one short message to give our audience, what would that be?
that's a great question. I think with the that's a great question. I think that with the summer coming, I think people should really take this time between wherever you're at, just take this time, enjoy the weather, and wherever you're from, if you're from the south or the west, it's gonna be warm all the time. But if you're from the northeast, just please go outside. I wish that's something I did
Touch
more in,
grass.
please touch grass because that's something I wish I did more in high school. During the summers, I was always like going places but like, I was just never outside, like riding my bicycle or like playing football and stuff like that. So I think my biggest advice is go outside, honestly. The
All
weather is
right.
so nice.
There you have it, folks. Penn engineering student says go outside. All right. Have a good morning, evening, or night whenever you're listening to this. Bye bye.